So what would you say is unique about the DUI laws in the counties and state and cities that you serve, and what are the new laws that you were talking about?
Well, the most recent change and the change that's had the biggest impact was the one that went into effect in December, and I think I've kind of mentioned it to you before, but basically, if you receive two previous convictions for DUI in this state or any other state, your third charge for DUI is going to be charged as a Measure 73 felony. It has hefty penalties.
Hmm.
This is something. If this is your situation, you want to contact an attorney as soon as possible. Um, I mean, you're facing significant jail time, where before it would have just been the misdemeanor. You're facing a lifetime revocation of your driving privileges,
Wow.
and hefty fines and penalties. It's still there's still talk of some constitutionality challenges as far as this new law goes, but that's really developing right now. But as far as I'm seeing this more and more, and it's not a good situation. Multnomah County has been a little bit uh, better if you're going to receive a Measure 73 because there are certain programs in place, and I don't know if that's because it's a bigger city and there's more resources, or that the judges there have just foreseen a influx of these types of cases and have been proactive as far as developing um, a alternate an alternate excuse me alternate resolution other
Okay.
than taking this to trial or just it requires a plea obviously to the charge,
Right.
but it also allows for intensive 5 year probation treatment.
Hmm.
You have to give up any car that you own. You have to give up your driving privileges. You have to maintain employment. You can have two jobs. Yeah, I think you have to do 36 hours a week or 40 hours a week or more. And so you either need two jobs to do that or one job to do that, or at least make active effort. So you're giving up pretty much all your rights and privileges and liberties while participating in intensive treatment in
Wow.
lieu of that lengthy jail sentence. So uh, that's good if you're trying to maintain employment and continue participating in activities that you normally would participate in your life to an extent. But it still is very serious.
Yeah, it's
I
very
think
invasive. It sounds like. Okay.
yes. But when if you're talking about that, or if you're talking about a 15-month jail sentence, oftentimes people will want to continue their life and kind of move forward.
Are there any other unique or unusual laws that you know about in your area that you want to talk about?
I'm not quite sure as far as what's unique or unusual compared to other states,
Okay.
but if we're talking about driving privileges and things like that, um, well, I know that most states do have the zero tolerance policy for underage drinking. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yep.
So that's not necessarily unique, but when you're talking about suspension of driving privileges and things like that, I really am not familiar with other states, so I don't know what would make Oregon unique other than this recent Measure 73.
Okay. So, what would be your best tip? When someone's been driving, they may have been drinking. They see the flashing lights behind them. They're being pulled over. What should they do? What shouldn't they do?
Well, I would say be cooperative, be polite, but don't help the state build their case against you. And what I mean by that is, if you know that you're feeling the effects of alcohol, you don't even have to. People often try to gauge whether or not they can drive based on if they feel intoxicated or not, or their judgment is impaired or not. But if you just even feel the effects of alcohol, and that's the case here. And don't try to negotiate your way out of receiving a DUI with the officer, because oftentimes voluntarily providing the field sobriety test or cooperating with them in the field sobriety test is just building the case against you. To be honest with you, I'm not even quite sure on my most athletic day if I would be able to pass the field sobriety test.
Hmm.
And so you're seeing, you know, people that think that they will do excellent on these field sobriety tests, and most likely you're going to fail. Um, I've tried to kind of pin officers in answering the question, what
Right.
percent of people pass the field sobriety test?
Hmm.
They skate around it pretty fast, because I'm not quite sure. I've never heard of anybody passing the field sobriety test. So Um, as far as the implied consent laws go here in Oregon, you're providing a breath sample. Don't take the chance. I wouldn't take the chance if you know that you've consumed alcohol recently. Don't provide a breath sample. And a lot of people are so fearful of losing their driving privileges for a year that um, that they will just provide the sample and kind of take a chance that they're going to be under the .08.
Okay.
But the way I see it is you're giving evidence to the state again to build a criminal case against you. You're facing criminal charges that will have lifelong implications. And if you need to, completely not drive for a few months, 90 days, then apply for a hardship permit and pay a little bit extra money for insurance for the next 3 years, that's a lot better than having any criminal record at all. So I guess if I could narrow it down to three things, I would say, um, you know, remain silent, try to limit the evidence that you provide to the state, and always, always, always request counsel.
And is there a big difference before they arrest you versus after they arrest you in terms of saying no to field sobriety or saying no to any of the tests?
You always have the right to remain silent. You don't have to, be cooperative. Don't resist arrest. Absolutely not. But
Right. Okay.
remain silent and speak to an attorney. I think that's the golden rule. You know, there like everywhere. There's professional police officers, and I think that there's unprofessional police officers, and it's going to ultimately feel a lot of the times like your word against theirs. And so the less that you provide them with information and evidence, the better off you'll be, because it is in the end the state's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did this certain behavior.
Right. So I guess the take home message is don't ever think that the police are your friend and don't talk to them any more than you absolutely have to.
Exactly. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. And that's no knock on police officers saying that they're, these dishonest people, but they are looking for DUI evidence, and anywhere they can find it, they will find it. So yes, don't build the state's case against you. Don't help them out that way. But be polite. You can always request that you speak with counsel or be allowed to speak with counsel.
Okay. So, what kinds of help can you provide to people arrested for DUI? Can you help reduce jail time or fines or fees or classes requirements? What kinds of things have you been able to do?
Yes, absolutely. Reduction or elimination of jail time, reduction of fines and fees, entering into the diversion program over the state's objection. That means that the state initially says no way, and we have a hearing, and the judge orders it anyways, which is really great. Um, you know, Preventing the suspension of your driving privileges. That's a big one, especially if you're commuting to work.
Hmm.
An attorney can help you with that. And also, what I like to pride myself on in my practice is that I'm with my clients from, the moment, or soon after the moment of arrest, requesting all the necessary hearings that we need to request, getting ready for first court appearances, filing, discovery, request for the protection of discovery, all the way from that point, from the initial starting point, throughout the court procedure, after you enter into treatment, navigating through treatment, making sure that you're on good terms with people that are providing the treatment,
Hmm.
answering questions that you may have in the process, all the way to when we eventually get this dismissed or resolved or you complete your sentencing. I'm always available to my clients. I know that a lot of attorneys, they will do the court proceedings, and then as soon as it's done, it's a handshake and it's best of luck to you, and
Right.
that's that. So I really think it's an ongoing process. You're gonna have questions throughout the entire process. So I like I said, I do pride myself on being available for my clients, because I think a big part of being an attorney is not just the advocating portion of it; it's also the counseling portion of it, making sure that you as a client understand what's happening to you, what you're obligated to do. And I think a lot of people feel like they're in more control of their lives. They have some say in their case, and that there's that person in their corner to ask questions to at any time.
Okay. Well said. Huh. All right. Well, what level of, I mean, this may be hard to gauge, but what level of success do you feel you've had in getting defendant situations, improved? Maybe not completely dismissed, but at least improved.
I think every single case I've had, my clients have been happy with my services.
Huh.
Um, Even if we go to trial, worst case scenario, and it doesn't turn out exactly like we had hoped, I still in those situations, my clients have been thrilled with my representation, which makes me feel very good, and I think makes them feel good because they know that I pour my heart and soul into representation. I will fight for them till the very end, and avoiding jail time is often the best thing that I can do.
Mm.
And if we can make that happen, even though there's some consequences still, um, I see that as a victory too.
Okay.
So every single case, I've been able to do something to get a better resolution than was initially projected.
Okay, that leads right into the question of what's the benefit of hiring a private attorney versus defending yourself or versus going with a public defender. Can you speak about that for a minute?
Sure. Well, in Oregon, judges here in Oregon, they most always want to see you represented with counsel because you're waiving so many rights and privileges no matter what you're doing. Even if we're talking about diversion, entering a plea, there's so many things that about the criminal process that a regular civilian just can't possibly grasp in that short period of time. So judges really want to know that people are entering these programs, entering these pleas, making these decisions, knowingly, that they're being educated, that everything's voluntary, intelligently entering the pleas. Um, so, as far as representing yourself, I would not recommend it. Oregon DUI law is extremely complicated
Right.
and it's stressful. And if you could, hire somebody to handle these things for you, make sure that you're, being protected and guiding you through the process, I think it's well worth the cost just for the peace of mind that it provides you. And then as far as going with a public defense attorney, I have colleagues that are public defense attorneys, and they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant, and they
Right.
work very, very hard, and they make some wonderful things happen for a lot of clients. But they are very busy. Their caseloads are extremely high.